We are tracking President Biden's movements overseas as he gears up to leave Israel for Saudi Arabia. Senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is joining us now with the latest on the controversial meeting. Ed, I see you were already in Saudi Arabia, sunny Saudi Arabia, to say the least.
Oh, it is, to say the least. And Maria, it's a privilege to be here. It's rare for American television networks to go live from this country, but we're here, of course, because later today, once he arrives, the president is set to go face-to-face with this country's king and its controversial crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman. Critics say it's a broken promise because as a candidate for president, Joe Biden condemned this kingdom for its involvement and for ordering the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, a prominent critic of the Saudi royal family. But now, as president, Mr. Biden says diplomacy with this kingdom is necessary.
The reason I'm going to Saudi Arabia, though, is much broader, is to promote U.S. interest.
President Biden says talking to Saudi Arabia is a must.
I think we have an opportunity to reassert what I think we've made a mistake of walking away from, our influence in the Middle East.
That's despite previous campaign promises to isolate the Saudis for ordering the 2018 murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are. There's very little social redeeming value in the present government in Saudi Arabia.
The president began Friday by meeting with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas.
2 states for 2 peoples, both of whom have deep and ancient roots in this land.
In East Jerusalem, he announced $100 million in U.S. aid for Palestinian hospitals.
Palestinians and Israelis deserve equal measure of freedom, security, prosperity, and dignity. And access to health care when you need it is essential.
But in nearby Ramallah, Mustafa Barghouti, a longtime Palestinian political leader, says he regrets Mr. Biden didn't do more during this trip to help Israel and the Palestinians implement the so-called two-state solution.
Giving the money to the hospitals is good, but it doesn't solve the whole problem. And the whole problem is really these restrictions by occupation.
So freedom of movement would be more valuable than money?
Freedom of movement is definitely more valued than money. But our freedom and dignity is even more valuable.
Now, officially, the president is here to drop in on a regional conference of Arab nations. On Saturday, he's also scheduled to meet with the leaders of Egypt, Iraq, and the United Arab Emirates. But Anne-Marie, it's the meetings he'll hold later tonight after sundown with the king and the crown prince that are sure to draw the most scrutiny.
I'm sure they will, and we will get to that. I just want to ask you quickly about the meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. I saw that they did a joint press conference, and yes, the president did announce aid. Palestinians have expressed some disappointment in the Biden administration. Did they hear anything else that they wanted to from the president?
No, in the essence that he is not in Israel right now to get the two sides to work together on implementing the two-state solution. The Palestinians would have liked to see more time paid to that. Mahmoud Abbas, in those remarks that he made alongside the American president, they're saying that if Israel wants to be a compliant state, it cannot continue to act as a state above law. He called for the end of the occupation of Palestine, the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital, saying only then Israel will be accepted to live in peace, security, and good neighborhood with the countries and peoples of the region based on the Arab Peace Initiative. The president, of course, supports the two-state solution, wants to see it happen, but right after arriving in Israel made very clear he knows that's not going to happen anytime soon. That's partly because of Israel's political situation. They're in the midst of a fragile coalition government that's up for elections again in November, so it's unclear who exactly is going to lead that country in the coming years and who would be powerful enough politically to implement that. There's also concern across this region, including here in Saudi Arabia, that the Palestinian Authority may not be powerful enough, may still have big corruption issues, and that could be a barrier to getting this done. But one thing the president said in his remarks there alongside President Abbas is that getting Israel to normalize relations with this country, with others like Qatar, Kuwait, Iraq, Jordan, will make it so the pressure is there to ultimately get to a two-state solution. So he's saying, look, maybe on this trip I focused a little more on Israel and the regional cooperation it's trying to develop with Arab nations. But in doing that, it's going to eventually get everybody to a point where they can sort out the issue with the Palestinians. We should point out today, Anne-Marie, there's some history being made, certainly for aviation geeks, but also for those that track the geopolitics of this region quite closely. Overnight, Saudi Arabia announced that it is going to allow civilian flights without discrimination, which in essence now for the first time allows flights directly from Israel to come to this country and to go back to Israel. They had in the last few years been allowed overflight rights to get to places like the United Arab Emirates or India faster by going over Saudi Arabia, but now they can land here. The White House press corps was on the first flight that was allowed to do that after the policy was announced. The president will be on the second one on Air Force One later today, flying directly here from Israel, becoming the first president to go from Israel to Saudi Arabia directly. Former President Trump went in the reverse during one of his trips during his 4 years in office.
Interesting. So let us get down to this controversial meeting with the Crown Prince. You know, the Biden administration went from he won't be meeting with the Crown Prince to, well, there's just a gathering of leaders there. The Crown Prince will be there. That's all it really is. To now we're learning he's going to meet with the Crown Prince and the King, but he's also going to meet with the Crown Prince separately without the King present. What are some of the concerns surrounding this meeting?
Well, he's going to have a meeting with the King, and then he's going to have a meeting with the Crown Prince and other ministers. And look, the issue here is that the president as a candidate, as we said in our report, condemned MBS, as he's known around the world, for authorizing the murder, the dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi. U.S. intelligence has concluded he was behind that. He, of course, has denied it. For example, recently on 60 Minutes, a former Saudi intelligence chief called him a psychopath. Says this is a guy who's just not equipped to run this kingdom or to be seen as a serious broker on the world stage. That's one critic's perspective. Others have similar concerns. The president's reluctant to take the meeting because of what he said as a candidate, because he's not yet the head of state here. The king is. The problem is the king is older, is ailing, doesn't have as much day-to-day operational control as he might have had in the past. So diplomatically, there's a concern about it. But also the president doesn't want to give MBS the global legitimacy he's seeking by seeing that meeting tonight, which we will be able to see. There had been questions about whether the White House press corps would be able to at least get a photo or video. We're told now that the travel pool or the group of reporters that travel with him will be able to go in and see that meeting and broadcast back to the world something from inside that room. We'll have it here later today on the streaming network. And the symbolism of that puts the Crown Prince on par now with so many other world leaders, again, even though he's not the head of state, and amid all the concerns about his own human rights record. When asked yesterday directly if the president would bring up Khashoggi's murder in his meetings with the Saudi leaders, he wouldn't say. He would say that, or he did say, that human rights is something that he always discusses with leaders of countries like this that have questionable human rights records. And he also said, my views on Khashoggi are well known. And if you're not familiar with him, then you haven't been paying attention. So we'll see if it comes up tonight. Critics certainly hope it does. Khashoggi's family certainly hopes it does. But it's unclear what will transpire. We'll be watching it closely.
Yes, I know you will, Ed. I'm surprised that there will be images released of that meeting. That was news to me. Ed, thank you very much.